Hello and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. We are in the student council room and we're about to play Risk. Nothing else really happened. We were our usual rude, nosy selves, and we were sad. That's about it, I think. Yeah. So now we're gonna play a game with some girls, and it's gonna be super innocent, and nothing weird is gonna happen. There's a big table in the center surrounded by chairs, and a smaller desk prominently placed in the back that I assume is Shizune's. There are a few regular desks and chairs stacked to one side as well. Extras, perhaps? Aside from the tables and chairs, the room doesn't have much else to offer. Just a couple of filing cabinets and bookshelves attached. That doesn't say attached. Stacked with old school records and documents. Not much else. In fact, nothing else. This is a pretty bleak room. They could at least put a potted plant in here or something. But the most noticeable thing that this room doesn't have is other people. Are we early? No. What do you mean, no? Does it mean nobody else is coming today? Yeah, that's right. Before I manage to ask why that's the case, Shizune claps her hands together very energetically. Hee-chan, let's play Risk. Come on, you promised, didn't you? You have to. Okay. Do you want to know the rules? We can explain it to you while we set everything up. While Misha is talking, Shizune takes out what looks like a board game from behind one of the filing cabinets and throws it on the table. Actually, it looks kind of interesting. After Misha spends a little too long for her liking running through the basics with a somewhat vague and confusing tutorial, Shizune cuts in and declares the game has started with a decisive motion, slicing her arm through the air. Shizune's aggressiveness is rubbing off on me. I start feeling more competitive than I intended to be when I agreed to this. Oh, it did start music. Halfway into the game while I try to ponder how to defend against Shizune's assault from two fronts, she breaks my concentration by drumming her fingers on the table to get my attention. Hee-chan, Shi-chan wants you to know that you are taking too long to make a move. Shi-chan also says that she will let you keep Australia if you agree to join the student council. I thought this was a game with no strings attached. Just the fact that she would dangle that over my head as an offer means that she knows I care about the outcome of this game. And anyway, no! Shi-chan admires your fighting spirit, but would be a benevolent dictator who will spare your people if you agree to join the student council. You're so competitive, Shizune. She seems to take this as a compliment. I would expect the student council president to be a little more magnanimous. Magnanimous? She doesn't seem to know what that word means or how it's signed, so she pulls out a piece of paper and writes it for Shizune, who in return signs it back to Misha. Misha presses her index fingers against her temples as if trying to physically imprint the word into her memory. Suddenly, Shizune bursts into a fury of gestures. Misha looks daunted by the pace of her heated signing. Wait, please slow down, Shi-chan. Shi-chan says you're going to lose. Tell her I will crush her world empire with my rebellion. Okay. Those eyes of hers shine with childlike mischief. Oh no, I almost missed the little face she was making. She was like, me. She says you have no chance if you keep playing like this. No, you won't. She has a point. Attack aggressively. It's a trap. It's smarter to play defensively here. She's trying to get. I think we should be defensive. I think these are mind games. I know you're whatever that word is. It's likely she's just trying to psych me out. Yeah. Looking at the board again, I have a pretty good defense set up, and I'm not going to wreck it doing something reckless. A few turns later, I lose the game anyway. Shizune adjusts her glasses victoriously and allows herself to tentatively pump a fist in the air in celebration. Wahaha, He-chan, you lost when you allowed me to take North America. I mean, Shi-chan, not me. Getting control of North America is ambitious because it provides a 5-army bonus, but you can attack it from 3 fronts, so you must defend them all. I thought you'd have more guts. How disappointing. Ambitious, He-chan. Your play needs to be more daring. Ambition! Ambition! Oh, I read the first one wrong. I was really excited when you took South America, but then you switched to playing defensively just because you gained a small advantage. That's no good, He-chan. You didn't take enough risks, and when you did, you didn't follow through. That's terrible, He-chan. Damn, what's it to her if I played too carefully? There's no need to rub it in my face. Get away from me. Space, get away from me. I wonder if you'd even be any good for the student council. What's this, reverse psychology? I guess I don't have to worry about joining or not in that case. Giving up? Just like that? I expected more of you. Seriously, is Shizune trying to taunt me into joining the council? Besides, I don't even want to join. It's only my 2nd day. I can't make that kind of commitment. I haven't even taken a look at the other clubs yet. And these two, they're a little weird. Fine, I'll consider joining the council, but I want to take a look at the clubs before I decide. Really, He-chan? You're not just saying that to make us feel better? Yeah, I'm just not sure what I want to do. Aw. Okay, He-chan, but we're not going to give up so easily. So you said maybe. There's still a chance you'll come around. Come on, we could really have fun. We could play more Risk, and maybe one day you could beat me. Unless we graduate before that. That doesn't make me feel any less reluctant about joining, you know. Wahaha, surely you are not that horrible at board games. Maybe we can play a game you know then, to give you a handicap. I might have said that just to make you feel better after all. Aw, that's cold, He-chan. I take a glance at the clock on the wall and realize I've spent far longer playing Risk than I expected. Sorry, I think I have to go. I wanted to go to the library. It's not closed yet, is it? Shizune scratches her head and gestures at Misha. How hard can it be to determine whether the library is open? There's a clock right on the wall. It should be, unless the librarian is absent. I think you're right, Shi-chan. We think the library is open. It's on the 2nd floor. Can't miss it. Do you want us to show you where it is? No thanks. It's okay. See you tomorrow. I'm still salty because I lost, and then you made fun of me. My frail ego couldn't handle it. Bye-bye! One flight of stairs up, and I run into problems. The 2nd floor hallway is a carbon copy of the 3rd one. Wide, of course, and plain, like only hallways can be. The problem is that the library's whereabouts are not as easily determined as one would think. The classrooms are marked with signs stating which class they belong to, but then there is a plethora of other unmarked rooms. Is the library one of them, or is it just somewhere down the hallway? I bet on the latter and choose my direction at random. After I turn around a corner, an unmarked door draws my attention, because it's not closed. It's not open either, though. Just barely ajar, so that I can see it's open and nothing else. It would make sense for the library door to be invitingly open, and while this one is not quite that, it's good enough. At the very least, it means someone is inside and I can ask for directions, no matter how embarrassing that is. Is that embarrassing? I don't claim to understand the mechanisms of a teenage boy. I gingerly push on the center of the door with my fingertips, every muscle in my arm ready to pull back at a moment's notice. The feeling of being an outsider to the school can't be shaken from my mind, so much so that I instinctively fear doing something wrong by entering. The door slowly creaks as if groaning from a deep sleep, though it's much easier to open than I anticipated. Leaning over and poking my head ever further inside to gain sight of the room as fast as possible, the meek hello of my lips is quietly snatched away. This is not what I was expecting. I mindlessly let the door open to its full extent, taking in the sight of the solitary figure taking center stage in the otherwise abandoned room. The situation steals my voice, leaving me standing at the doorway staring at the beautiful girl. Evidently, having taken her time to assess the situation, the girl gently puts down her teacup and opens her eyes, but doesn't look at me. Hello there, may I help you? Staring directly in front of her, the movements of her lips seem to break the silence rather than the words. However, it's the soft, measured voice that reminds me she's a being separate from the room itself. Okay. Not only is she likely the tallest girl I've ever laid eyes on, but even among the foreigners I've met, she's strikingly distinct. She's Aryan. Hi, sorry for intruding. I was just kind of lost. She takes a moment to formulate a response before thinking. Every action she takes feels as if it's carefully choreographed beforehand. Care to take a seat? Unexpected, considering that I'm intruding upon her. Thanks. I slowly step towards another seat opposite her, the girl testing the teacup and saucer on the wooden table in between. The way she doesn't track my movements with her head is telling. That, and the slight cloudiness in her eyes, means she must be at least partially blind, like Kenji. Come to think of it, her voice doesn't have any detectable accent either. I guess she must be half Japanese. As I take my seat, her composure takes me slightly off guard. Her air of relaxed confidence makes the silence entirely comfortable. The calming atmosphere is very different from the student council office. I take it you're a new student to Yamaku? Yeah, I just transferred in yesterday. I get the distinct feeling my speech pattern doesn't match the formality of hers, accentuating by her restrained bow of greeting. One which I hasten to match before realizing the futility of the action. I'm Lily Sato. Pleased to meet you. Hisao Nakai. She gives a nod before gesturing roughly in the direction of her teacup. Would you care for a drink? Sure. As much as it pains me, I can't keep step with her formality in the proceedings. She gives a kind nod, taking the request in stride. Without another word, she steps off the chair and prepares a second cup of tea from a collection of supplies laid out along the shelf. A brush here, a brush there, her left hand often lightly touches the side of whichever container she's pouring into. It seems to be a process she's followed dozens of times before. As I lean sideways to see around her back, she seems to use her long, dainty fingers to measure the right amount of water in the cup. It's one thing to see the different disabilities the students in my class have, but it's quite another to see how everyone seems to adapt. Shizune and Misha have no problem working together to communicate to me, and Lily herself seems to have workarounds for problems I'd never thought of. While I feel slightly guilty about her doing the work, she seems pleased to be following the correct process of the offerer preparing the drink. So, her soft voice brings me out of my silent observation. Which room were you looking for? It's not often this classroom is visited after school. The school library. Shizune and some classmates told me it was on this floor. She finished pouring the water into the teacup as she nods, a small metallic tapping coming from the teacup indicating it being stirred. I'm aware of Miss Hakamichi, and as are most students. To be with them means you're in class 3-3, no? That's right, the science room with Muto. She gives a small giggle before setting down the teaspoon and slowly walking towards the table, teacup and saucer in hand. Oh. He's quite a character. I imagine you'll come to like him. Most do. As she sets down the tea, I gently take it and have a sip. I'm really more of a coffee person. Are you even allowed to drink coffee? I guess there's just this... I don't know. But this seems like a rather bad moment to bring it up. Nonetheless, the smell's quite nice. I hardly think it'd be hard to choke down. Thanks, Sato. It tastes really nice. She smiles and quickly waves her hand in front of her face. Lily, please. There's no need to be too formal. She says this in spite of her exceedingly well-bred speech. Oh well. I guess I should try and ask her about herself, as it really does seem as if she's catering to me. Wow. So, which class are you from? I imagine it's one of the third-year classes. Correct. I'm in class 3-2, which is on the third floor, same as yours. It's taught by Miyagi, and is specifically for both blind and partially blind students. I see. Sorry. I feel like slapping myself for the faux pas. Looking at her face, though, she doesn't seem in the least bit put off by it. My, there's no need to change your speech on my account. Sure, sorry. I guess I'm really showing my newness here. An environment like this would be a big change, so I can't fault you for it. While the same can't be said for everyone, many have come to terms with their conditions. A category which would include her, it seems. All too ready to jump ship from this particular topic, I segue into another. Do you come here to drink tea often? You come here often? It's a really nice place. Thinking on it, this might be her version of the place behind the school that I like to have lunch at. I come here fairly often during lunch times. My duties as class representative don't leave enough time for an official club, so a friend and I use this room for having tea. Class representative, huh? Compared to Shizune, her mannerisms seem to be almost completely opposite, while Shizune's blunt and fiercely driven really seems relaxed and calm, almost aloof. It's the blonde hair. Come to think of it, she might be useful for a less biased view of the school clubs. What kind of clubs are there to join? The most popular ones are Track and Field Club, which uses the field near... Oh no, my nosy! Don't do this. It's trying to sneeze, but it won't sneeze. I'm suffering. Help me. Blech. It got away. Which uses the field near the school during lunch times, the baseball club, and the book club in a room near the library. There are also numerous small ones too, though, such as the art and music clubs. At a time when I'm just wanting to get on my feet, rushing into a club right away seems slightly unappealing. Wonder if the school shares the same rule as my old one. Is it compulsory to join a club? It isn't, though it's encouraged. Ah, good. That's a relief. I really let down my guard around this girl to let such a thing slip out. The fact seems to slightly amuse her. Not wanting my tea to get cold, I finally start drinking it as Lily does the same. And now it is the golden hour. And the music changed. As I look over to the window over her shoulder, I notice the light coming into the room has a distinctly orange tint. Even here, time doesn't stand still. Huh, the time's gone quickly. Sorry? Right, she's blind. Of course she can't see the sun setting. It just looks like the sun's starting to set. It seems to come as a surprise for her. I guess she must have lost track of time. Sorry, Isao. I didn't mean to keep you from the library for so long. I quickly moved to allay her concern. Ah, no, it's okay. The library's still open, isn't it? She pauses and takes a moment to think on it. It's probably something I should have asked Shizune when I had the chance, but Lily seems to know in any case. True, it's open until 6:30 during weekdays. A quick glance at my watch confirms I have well enough time to get there. I might get going in that case. It's been nice talking to you, Lily. She smiles and gives a deep nod, her hands still neatly folded on the table in front of her. It was my pleasure. Oh, think of it. Shall I show you where the library is? I couldn't possibly ask for more help. I should be able to find it all right. Well, unless my navigational skills fail me. They did before. Which they seem to have a habit of doing. There we go. Self-aware. It's all right. I was going to be talking to the librarian there in any case. I could introduce you. This gets better and better. It's pretty hard to deny her offer. If you're sure, then that'd be great. Thanks. As she stands up to follow me, she takes hold of a straight, retractable cane that had been slipped in the handle of her bag on the floor. Compared to the cane the boy in my class had, Lily's looks much thinner and longer. His must be for support, whereas Lily's is for navigation. Together we leave the peaceful room and enter the empty hallway on the way to the library. Side by side, my pace carefully slowed to match hers. We slowly walk through the hallway. It doesn't take long for us to arrive at the door to the warm-looking room, apparently situated in the center of the floor rather than either wing. Ladies first. She gives an appreciative smile at the gesture, taking the lead as we file in. To the left is the wooden library counter, with the library proper being on the right. It easily dwarfs my old school's library, with the distinct smell of old books giving the place an almost old-world air. There don't seem to be a lot of students here. Considering the time, it isn't a big surprise. Everyone's probably either in the school grounds or the dorms. Yuko, are you here? She says it to thin air since the librarian doesn't seem to be present, and of course Lily can't see. What's unexpected is that it draws a reaction. Something from under the counter thuds against it, followed by a quiet yell. Ah! The origin, apparently the librarian, quickly crawls out and bounces up to extremely rigid attention. Hi, Lily. Can I help you? Her voice is strained in a failing attempt to sound casual, and she's rubbing the back of her head. Good afternoon. What happened just now? I heard a strange sound. It's nothing. I just hit my head. See, I dropped an eraser under my desk, and while I was looking for it, a pencil dropped, and when I was looking for both of them, you came and surprised me. Are you alright? I'm sorry, I couldn't know. It's okay. Sorry for making you worry. This is nothing. I've had worse happen to me. She's quick to reverse Lily's apology, almost frantically trying to push aside the possibility that she could have in any way inconvenienced by bashing her head on the counter. Yeah, worse things have happened. The girl fidgets with her fingers as Lily doesn't seem to drop her concerned expression, and then she shuffles some papers around the counter for no reason. A little shorter than Lily, replete with glasses. I don't know what replete means, and I'm not going to look it up. Freckles and very troubled look. She seems to fit a library perfectly. Lily, did you get my message? Message? Oh, the 2 imported books that arrived? Right, they finally came. I can't believe it took so long, but amidst her celebrations, partially for managing to change the topic, I'm sure she notices me from the corner of her eye and freezes on the spot when she does. Oh no, I'm sorry for not noticing you before. Did you need to check out a book or return one? I'm sorry. The way she can so quickly shift between moods is a little unsettling. He's with me. Yuko, this is Hisao, a new student. Hisao, this is Yuko, the school librarian. Pleased to meet you. Hisao, right. Hisao. Pleased to meet you too, Hisao. For a second, she visibly attempts to engrave the name in her mind so she won't forget. Yuko often arranges to import foreign books in Braille for me. Would you like to tell Hisao a little something about the library? Lily's innocent suggestion is met with an expression of abject terror. Abject. Please, Lily, I can't. I don't know what he could be interested in. This is too much responsibility. How it's any responsibility at all, I don't get, but her objection is so sincere I don't doubt for a second that she would rather disembowel herself on the spot than tell me where the light novels are. But So there are a lot of books in Braille here? I attempt to save the day by asking the first thing that pops into my head. It seems to work, at least partially, as Yuko seems to not exactly relax, but at least look slightly less tense. Well, I think about a third or a fourth of Yamaku's library is either in Braille or audio. Makes sense given all the blind students that'd be here. If it's only that, how come this library is so big in the first place? Well, we get a lot of new books regularly because the library is adequately endowed. That's probably why. They spend more on new books than on my salary, and then I have to organize and shelve all of them. It's so troublesome, they waste so much. I wish I could quit this job. Good. Alright, that's a lot to unveil to a new student. It's a little oversharing. A very awkward silence follows this revelation of too much information, yeah. I'll go check the aisles then if you don't mind. It's probably best for all of us if she doesn't keep talking to me. Very well. Meanwhile, Yuko, I would have those... Nose! Stop! I would have those books if it's alright with you. My first impression was right. The library is surprisingly big. Ambling down the narrow aisle, I study the spines of the books in random order, occasionally sliding one out to read the blurb, taking it with me if it looks good. In a few moments, I have a respectable stack of books in my arms. I guess I'll never be stuck for choices in here. The normality of the library sinks in. Sure, there are large print and Braille books scattered throughout, but it is what it is, a library. It's as if the calm mood from the room I had tea with Lily in stuck with us in here, unless it was here to begin with. Something about that puts me at ease, just like before. I reach the end of the aisle and find a collection of desks set up for study or personal reading. Going a little further, though, I discover a nice quiet corner at the back. While the rest of the library has the odd students sitting at the desk, either reading or stealthily sleeping, the back is pretty much deserted. As I glance around, I see someone who I recognize sitting on one of the several beanbags. It's that one girl. Yeah, there she is. She's minding her own business. Better bother her. It's the dark-haired girl from my class, the one who snuck out of class earlier. She's reading a book, keeping it close to her face, which makes her look like she's really into it. I don't know how close that is to her face, actually, but okay. I had her pegged as... From the way she was acting today, I had her pegged as more of a delinquent than a bookworm. In fact, her mysterious disappearance from class raises all sorts of whys in my head. Intrigue floats slowly but surely towards the surface, and before I know it, I'm walking towards the mysterious long-haired girl, because I don't know how to mind my own damn business. I guess there's no harm in introducing myself as I would with anyone else. She's a classmate after all. Walking over to another beanbag, I take a seat and lay my books beside it. The girl starts looking scaredly up at me from underneath her fringe. Hi! It's a cat. What you doing? This is the first time I've seen her this close. Underneath her long, dense bangs, I can see that part of her face, at least a third, if not half, is pretty badly scarred. Better point it out to her, because I can't think of anything more rude in this situation. My eyes are immediately drawn to the scars, subconsciously peeking past her hair until they meet her own eyes. For a second, I am shocked and divert my eyes to the book in her hands before I realize that looking away probably only makes it worse. It takes too many seconds to collect myself and remember what I walked up to her for. Hi. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. Hi, I'm new here. We're in the same class. Hi, I'm new here. Hisao Nakai. We're in the same class. Da-da-da-da. I just transferred here the other day. Maybe you don't remember? I did a self-introduction too. The girl still doesn't say a word, but simply stares at me wide-eyed. I'm still getting used to the place, so I'm trying to meet as many people as I can. So, what's your name? Purple-haired girl. Hanako. Her speech is stuttering and so quiet that it's barely audible even in the still library. Somehow I think that my delinquent impression of her was wrong. Hanako, eh? So what are you reading? A book. She gently tips the book backwards so that I can read the title at the same time hiding her face behind it. She must have noticed me staring before. Life of Pi. I've never heard of it before. What's it about? A boy and a tiger. On a boat. I can see this taking some time. Sounds interesting. Is it any good? She nods from behind the book but stays silent. She looks kind of tense, a bit like Yuko earlier, but in a different way. More like petrified with terror, I'd say. So the mystery delinquent girl turns out to be anything but she's quivering in a way that makes it look like she's mortally afraid of me. She's scared. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. The only way out of this, as far as I can tell, is to try to get a normal conversation going. Is it a library book? I'm looking for new ones to read, but there's just so many. No, it's mine. Oh, so do you come here often? A huge blush spreads across Hanako's face, and her eyes widen far larger than I thought was it possible for eyes to do. Uh-oh. Did she interpret my lame attempt at small talk as a feeble attempt to pick her up? I mean it. I didn't mean it like that. I've got something. I've got to go do something. Without warning, Hanako takes off and runs toward the counter. Her hair-like takeoff catches me off guard, and takes me so off guard that I don't manage to go after her until she has a good head start. By the time I reach the counter, she is nowhere to be seen. Lily and Yuko are happily chatting away. Knowing that I won't be able to catch Hanako myself, I approach the girls. Hey, did you see or notice a girl run past here? Maybe. What did she look like? Long dark hair, kinda shy. She had, some scars on her face. You wouldn't be talking about Hanako, would you? Yeah, that's her. I saw her reading and tried to talk to her, but I think I scared her off or something. Oh dear. Yuko, would you excuse me? I'd better try and find her. Sure. I'll just hold on to these until you come back. What's going on? I'm sorry, but I'll have to explain it to you some other time. Right, I'll see you later then. Lily hastily grabs her cane and hurries out of the library, leaving me alone with Yuko. I don't think I'll ever get the hang of this place. I've been here for 2 whole days. How come everything isn't lighting into place? What's going on? Did I do something wrong? What did you do? Nothing. I just talked to her, tried to get to know her, didn't even manage to get started. Yuko sighed and looks awfully bothered, even more so than I thought she did before. I guess you weren't wrong, so much as tactless. Tactless? That girl is a bit of a special case. It's like she never really talks to anyone. Isn't that a bit strange? I wonder. It's just how she is, I think. Yuko doesn't sound all that convincing. Then again, maybe this is just the norm around here. Everyone has their own problems, or else they wouldn't be here. Perhaps I was being a little tactless after all. But how should I deal with these people? Forcing myself to act overly casual over only makes me feel more phony. Like I was supposed to be ignoring the elephant in the room. Yuko fidgets, looking like she wants to say something to that, but resists it. I think it's an elephant only if you feel that way. I guess she doesn't have a good sense of self-restraint. It makes me smile, and she blushes heavily. What? Did that sound stupid? No, it sounded really wise. I guess you're right. It's more about me than anyone else. Neither of us has anything to add, so Yuko fills the silence by shuffling some papers around. People who have papers on their desk really like doing that. I mean, it's a valid distraction. Did you find any books? I should be closing soon. I mean, this library should be closing. But I have to do it. I hope it's not too inconvenient for you. Oh yeah, I want some books, but I left them over there because... I'll just go get them. I fetched my stack of books from beside the beanbags where Hanako and I were sitting and returned to the counter. Wow, you read a lot, don't you? I surprised myself with that too, honestly. At least when I really think about it. I had a lot of free time earlier this year, so I just kind of started reading books to fill that time. I couldn't do much else. I see. But she doesn't say anything else, and just checks out the books for me. I guess this is what they call tact. Hello. What are you doing? Being a cat? That's crazy. Okay, well, my cat has jumped on the desk, so that means that I need to go for a minute. We still made a pretty good amount of progress, and we met a new girl and had tea. We met a couple of new, well, I don't know if you count Hanako as new, but we didn't know her name. So we're learning all about these girls and how they live their life like normal people. And what will we do? I don't know, because I don't know what this game has to offer. But we'll figure it out next time.